Hi, I'm Lisa Mirabile with Moving into the Future, and I'm here with Jack Maseka from the Advance Group. Hi, Jack. Good morning.
Good morning, Lisa.
This is really a special segment that we have today. I think it's very relevant. This is the first of a four-part series for returning to office. We want to bring you the most up-to-date and current information on this very hot topic. So, Jack, as a moving company, the Advance Group, what could you tell us about returning to office in this hot topic?
Right. We've been seeing now in the news a lot of different companies releasing their return to office plans, and they're all a little different, which is cool. We saw Ford in the news this week. It released their plans, and they're really focused on creating these flexible and dynamic spaces where employees can have, rolling conference room carts with, all of the same up-to-date technology that you would see in a regular conference room, and allowing them to book open spaces where they can meet and collaborate together, which is unique, compared to just having a conference room. And then you see a company like Uber that released an open letter this week where they are requiring employees to be in the office 3 days a week. I think they were going to start that in July, I think it was. And then they can work from home 2 times a week, and really emphasizing the need for in-person collaboration and team members, coming in to work together and stressing how important that is. And then you see a company like HSBC, the bank, eliminating all executive offices and going strictly into hoteling, which is also very interesting. And I could imagine, doesn't make some executives very happy who really probably enjoyed having that type of privacy, but that type of work.
Okay, well, let me stop you
us.
right there. HSBC has been all over the internet. Have you been following this?
Oh, yeah, I did see that. I did see that with a guy who had a heart attack.
I mean, that's terrible. It's really horrible, but he posted on LinkedIn, I think, right after his heart attack, like, this isn't a good day. Tomorrow I have a meeting with my manager, and talking about lack of, that personal, that need for personal communication, but also it speaks to how overbooked we are. I think they said that people are working on an average of like 80 to 100 hours now that we're working from home, because it's just, there's no off button.
Right.
There's no off button.
Right.
Now we're just 24-hour access, between our technology and what's expected. And we're also afraid, I think, of what could happen next.
Of course.
That we want to hold on to our jobs.
Of course.
This hoteling thing, it's really interesting. But the fact that he even references the fact that he's referencing that he's over-zoomed.
Right. That was the first thing he said.
That's crazy.
It is. He said, I need to cut back. He had a heart attack. And the first thing he said in his LinkedIn post is that I need to cut back on the amount of Zoom meetings that I take, which is insane. And you know what? To a lot of people, like, that went super viral. And a lot of people see that too, and it probably gets them thinking, like, yeah, I probably
viral,
need to do
because
the same.
we can all relate. Yeah, exactly. We all relate to it.
Right.
I know that I'm booked like every minute on the minute. It's like, okay, if I'm not here, I'm there. If I'm not on that call, I'm on this Zoom. And if I'm not on this Zoom, I'm on the next Zoom. And then who has the Zoom invite?
Right, exactly.
We're texting each other the last meeting because you're like, is it on our Zoom or their Zoom, or who's Zoom and your Zoom, and can you take a Zoom? And I'm like, right? Just over
it's absolutely right. So, that's why I think we're reaching a boiling point as a society with and listen, we've done what we had to do. Thank God the vaccine rollout seems to be going good. And there's definitely a lot of positive momentum that is creating the need for companies to come out with their return to office plans. And, it's very exciting for me specifically, because it allows me to really be a part of that and help with that. And, for a situation like hoteling, we'll talk about it from a couple of different viewpoints and how it's going to work. But
I think you have an opportunity as a moving company just to discuss the software needs, the technology move, the cleaning needs, all of this comes into play with returning to office. And these are all services that the Advance Group offers and does really well, because they've been doing it before the pandemic. So you really know how to do it and perform it well and quickly and efficiently without disturbing the workplace and disturbing the workspaces. But I'm so glad to hear that Uber's requiring their people to come in 3 days a week to work collaboratively, because we are missing that human connection. And I think things get done so much better from a company standpoint when you are collaborating. And there's only so much technology can do for that. And I know that it's a strong foot into the advanced group and your technology moves. But I think the need for personalization is, and that human contact is just a core human need.
Right.
And I know you brought up before HSBC again, and being in that hoteling environment. So you have the software needs, you have that technology need. How does Advanced Group play a role in that?
Right. So let's start from the beginning. Part of the hoteling dynamic is personal desks don't exist anymore, right? So,
all right, guys. So here's some tips for returning to office. Personal desks don't exist anymore. What does that mean? Because
right.
I'm an employee. What am I bringing? I got a hotel. What am I bringing?
Well, before
I think I need an overnight bag.
Right.
I'm going to a hotel. I need my overnight bag to have a clean pair of underwear. But that's not the case.
That is not the case.
Okay.
Definitely not. Definitely not. So, before the pandemic, you would have your desk set up the way you like it, whether you have pictures or plants or whatever it may be. It was your personal space. Under the hoteling, way of thinking and way of going about things, that's no longer the case. Desks are set up in a standard fashion. So whether it's one floor might have, and this is what we see and this is what we help with, one floor might have single monitors and a phone set up. That'll typically be for a salesperson or, somebody in that realm who needs a phone and doesn't necessarily need dual monitors to do their work. And then we'll see on another floor, there'll be dual monitors set up there and maybe be a little bit more just more set up for technology.
So consistent workspace setups,
right,
floor to floor,
right,
properly socially
right.
distanced, and then they're being cleaned every night, so the next person who comes in has a nice...
Well, this is what's interesting.
Okay.
So part of hoteling is those desks are booked on a daily basis, right? So software is used to book those desks, and what happens through that software is you can also compile data to see what floors are being used more often. When are there not employees there because they have to book during certain time limits, right?
What time periods don't they?
So that's when the cleaning crews can come in.
Are they not occupied? Got
and that's when they can re-sanitize stuff for, whether it's like a morning, certain teams are in the morning and then, they're out and then the sanitization crew can come in.
That's super smart.
And then the afternoon crew can come in. This is all the type of software that's being offered. And we're actually in the process of partnering with a company that offers like workplace software and measures occupancy levels on each floor. So, and what it is facilities teams can connect to this software from their phone and see, okay, we have too many people on a certain floor. We need to rearrange this. We need to figure out how we can better do this to better stack our employees so that there's
efficiencies.
Right, correct. And you can also see, what areas are considered hot areas, not just desks, but also breakout areas. How are our conference rooms being utilized now? We talked about that last episode where, some companies are eliminating conference rooms, whether to create, single person private office areas or create more room for socially distanced desks or open collaboration spaces, things like that. So it's going to be heavily based on usage and the data gained for that usage for companies to figure out how their space can best be utilized. And that's where the advanced group can help, not only from that software data, but also the execution and rearrangement and reconfigure spaces that we were talking about last time.
Reconfigure the spaces, then I imagine the technology moves, because I know we live in the metro area, right? I
Right.
have 3 monitors at home because when I'm working, I need to see, what's going on in different areas of the business. I'm looking at the logistics. I'm looking at, what's coming, what the hot leads are and things like that. There's different monitors, and I'm not going to schlep that back and forth, right?
Of course not.
So you don't have a car. I'm commuting via, train,
Right.
mass transportation.
And you're not carrying 3 monitors. That's not going to go
I'm not
well
carrying
for
it.
you.
Plus my plant, because I can't leave her at home. I can't leave my baby at home.
Exactly. So, yeah, and that's again where we can help with a bit of a cost analysis, so we can see, what makes more sense cost-wise. Does it make sense to buy all new monitors and set those up in the office, or do we want to, bring back the monitors that we allowed employees to take home, at the beginning of the pandemic? And we can kind of help plan that out, because again, there's a lot of components that go into that. It's not just the cost to buy the monitors. It's also, for us to receive them at our warehouse, because you can't receive them into the office.
Correct.
Because no one's there. So you can't rely on,
and I'm sure sanitation purposes, you need to
exactly.
make
So
sure
you can't rely on shaky delivery times. And again, it could be a drop delivery where they're just dropping it off, and then, you're not going to require your facilities people to carry over, it could be anywhere from 50 to, 500 monitors.
So you analyze the cost to buy or to
buy
or keep and deliver.
Right.
Or keep,
buy, deliver to our warehouse,
okay.
and then deliver to the office, set it all up. That can get costly. So maybe it is more cost effective for the advanced group to go to employees' homes, pack up their IT items that they need back in the office, and then set it up in that singular fashion that we were talking about before, because it's a very, very delicate process in the sense of you don't want to do it more than once. You don't want it to be a situation where we have to go back multiple times because we're seeing we have too many dual monitor setups or too many single monitor setups or stuff like that. You really want to try your best to get it right. And it ranges from, different company size. We're talking right now about companies with multiple floors and, multiple different employees. If you're on a single floor and let's say you have 50 people, that's a little easier. And can be managed a little bit more efficiently.
Right.
But, there's still components to that. So it's all about what fits your company best. And I think that's what's really nice about what we're seeing with these different companies that we mentioned between Ford, Uber, and HSBC. They're doing what they think is best. HSBC is moving to hoteling because they referenced a majority of their people are traveling anyways. So they were hardly in the office before the pandemic. So this hoteling, obviously the pandemic fast forwarded this plan, but this hoteling setup kind of allows for more flexibility, which we talked about a lot last episode. And for somebody like that gentleman who had a heart attack, at least can give him the option now. And that's what employees need.
Is it going to be more stressful? I was wondering if it was going to be more stressful because, when you're home, you're constantly working. But now I have to decide, okay, when is it best for me to go into the office? Is it and carrying stuff? And is my software going to work and my technology going to work when I go from one place to the other? So I see that as, oh God, I'm already getting itchy. Like I'm already getting hives.
Look at me.
Like, right? Yeah, you're scratching right now. And I'm getting nervous and, so.
Yeah, I mean, part of this return to office is making sure your spaces are functional. And one of the things we'll have to talk about eventually is another article I saw where 60% of executives don't have a return or a plan yet. So, that could be something we talk about in the future. But let me just focus on what we're talking about now. Having the software set up, having the hardware set up for employees and making sure that the second that they get to the office and can operate is what the advanced group and I specialize in.
Yeah.
With my experience working on the end user side, that was the name of the game. We always typically opened on a Monday, so we had the weekend to set up.
So you're talking pre-pandemic, you guys were doing this already.
Right,
so that's
course.
Why you're experts and specialists in this. Well, I think your experience is going to speak volumes in a time like this.
Yeah, it definitely
and people
will.
should really be turning to you.
But having the space set up and that software ready to go is what we get paid for. I mean, that's what we're here for. and stemming off what else you were saying, what it is we are creatures of habit. And like when we were in high school and there weren't assigned seats anymore, you always kind of sat in the same seat, Isn't it funny how we do that
it's
just by nature?
Yeah, routine.
So it is. It's routine.
Comfort. Exactly,
right. And we get comfortable in our spaces, and it'll probably be the same way with hoteling and going to the office. Team members, we just do it naturally, where we we see what works for each other, and we know where we like things to happen, and like it's
I guess like everything
nature.
Else, it'll be a little
It'll
change,
be an adjustment at first,
right?
Like it was
shift, exactly.
But now what we've done through this, and this is where we get positivity. Me being just the eternal optimist, is
which I love.
Thank you. We've learned that there is flexibility allowable through work, and we just don't need to be in the office all the time, or don't need to work from home and get Zoom fatigue all the time. We're getting there. We're not there yet.
Right.
We're in the planning stages, and we're getting the ball rolling right now. But eventually, by this time next year, we'll probably see these habits created where, ideally, it's very normal to work in the office 3 times a week and 2 times from home and stuff like that. And our team members know, okay, Wednesday is a day where we're all in the office and we're working from here and we're doing this. It'll become much more efficient is the goal.
I think it's going to create more of a balance, honestly, because I know that me as a working mom, right? I like my time outside the office. I mean outside of the home. I like to go to the office a couple of days. I'm not saying I ever want to go back 100%, because honestly, I still am a little afraid. I don't want to be around that many people constantly all the time, right? So I'm still a little scared. So I love the idea, though, of going back in maybe 2 days or 3 days a week, where it allows me the flexibility to say, okay, I know I'm going to the city on, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Those are going to be my days in. I know I can meet with these team members on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? And I know I can hit the gym.
Right, exactly.
I have my life, my schedule back to normal, and the kids are being taken care of, and I know when I have to make dinner or when I have to bring it in, so I do think, like you said, it'll be a little bit of an adjustment. But let's get back to those tips. I think that this is really important. Okay, so number 1, as a worker, I don't necessarily need to schlep all my technology in.
Definitely not.
I need to check with my employee as to what the policy is, make sure I read up on that policy. Have to see when the cleaning crews are going to come in, so I'm not in their way.
Right.
And that my other team members and I are coordinated. So make sure you touch base with your team members and you're coordinating when you can schedule those meetings. 3, make sure that your technology IT guy has a plan in place and that you're on board with that plan. So it's not only your employee and your direct manager, but check with your IT services. And you don't have to bring your plant back and forth, because you'll be doing probably shared workspaces.
Right, and plants don't do good on moves. You don't want to be moving plants too much.
And I don't have to pack a bag when I'm hoteling.
That's definitely don't need to do that.
Okay, got it.
You can manage without that.
Okay.
You don't need to bring a change of clothes.
And then, of course, number 6, call the advanced group.
That's it. Yeah, definitely do that, because, again, we're here to help. And like I was saying before, as far as, the number of executives who haven't established a plan yet, it's understandable in some sense, because they have so many just daily immediate needs that need to be handled from an executive level, that this is something they're just side burnering, which, like I said, is understandable. But that's where we can really help from that consultative perspective, to be that person and say, here's what we're seeing as best practices, across our portfolio. How do you think this is going to work for your employees? How can we customize this to work for your employees? And we can offer that consultation, and then the execution, and then the software to see if it's working. Okay, maybe this part of our plan didn't work well. How can we do it better? And that's when we talk about before, just referencing back to it, in terms of the habits that are created. Yes. What if we see that these collaborative spaces and open spaces are really working well? How can we create more of those? And we're also seeing, we have 100 desks put out. there's only about 60 people in the office at a time. So, maybe we can scale back the number of desks that we have in the space to create more of the collaborative spaces and stuff like that. So it's going to be all very interesting and
organic.
Right.
It's going to
evolve. I was just going to say,
right?
the ecosystem of the office is going to evolve like many things do. And it's going to be really interesting to see, how different companies go about it and how different employees, I don't want to say attack it, but, embrace it. And it should be interesting. I saw another article.
You have little nuggets of gold in everything that you've been saying, and I really hope that people are listening to this because
me too.
Well, yeah, but really, I mean, a C-suite person needs to be listening to this for other reasons, and an employee needs to be listening to this for so many other reasons.
Everybody.
Yeah, you do care about everyone, but this is. Like you said, an organic time. We're all trying to figure this out and what works best, and sharing the knowledge and sharing the other experiences based on data is what's important. So although they may not be listening to this segment, I hope they're tuning into the following segments when you do have that data.
Right.
And you're coming back and you're sharing that data and you're saying, okay, look, 2 months ago we thought that this was going to work, but we've realized that it works only 40%.
Correct.
But we've taken what we've learned from this other client and we've integrated that into this workspace for this client, and now we have a complete solution. Now, it's not going to be maybe as easy as that, but I think I'm really excited about the future and the data that you guys are gathering in order to put this together for corporations across the globe and across the country.
Correct, because this is a very fluid situation. It's something we've never seen before, so no one has the secret sauce.
Right. Right now, no.
This is all completely unknown, right?
Yeah.
So there is going to be some level of trial and error, but that's okay because through that error, you gain data and you gain more information that can be used to, create a better workplace for your employees. And, the most important thing about this all is that we keep the virus at bay. Obviously we want employees to, exactly. We want employees to return, but it has to be done safely. And, we don't want to rush it. I saw JP Morgan, and it's funny how banks, JP Morgan is a huge real estate holder too, so that obviously has something to do with it.
Yes.
But he wants people back into the office, he said within weeks. And, that's a situation where you don't want to say it's being rushed, but there's a little bit more of a sense of urgency there with employees, which has its benefits too, because we're going to see very quickly, how is this going to work in a situation where they probably didn't even make many changes. A lot of from what I've read, they still have the private offices.
Private offices are good, right? Because you're keeping people at bay.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with them. But it's going to be interesting to see a company. They're going to be one of the first, and it's going to be interesting to see how that works for their employees, because they're going to have...
All right, so tip number 7, keep your mask and your hand sanitizer on hand, because if you're going into
exactly.
Some of these
you
spaces.
have to. And that's what we've done as a society, especially in New York, is really keeping this all at bay. And, you see things gradually getting more open and open. Bars are open until midnight now, which, I don't know what difference that makes. But you're seeing even... with athletic events and concerts are kind of starting to be talked about again. So the same type of evolution is going to happen in the office. And, some companies, like I said, are going to rush it back like a JP Morgan, and some companies are going to be more slowly integrating employees. What I've seen is the 2 dates are July and September. September being the latest and July kind of being the plan for many companies.
Really?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting.
I have to say I'm not thrilled about that, and I think that they're, even from a planning standpoint, and yes, you've had a year and a half to plan, I understand that, but even the smartest people need to realize that this is, a serious...
Still ongoing.
It's still ongoing, and there needs to be an organic flow and evolution of the workspace. So it'll be interesting to see.
And they're going to have a target on them. So, we'll be able to talk about that, in upcoming episodes. And I think that's why it's important that we're doing this as a 4-part series, because like we were saying, it is fluid and it is ongoing and it is trial and error. And we're going to do our best to keep you updated, our listeners updated, and help them understand what's working, what's not working. That's the real name of this game, is to help. That's the bottom line. I've mentioned this before. I'm here to help. The Advanced Group is here to help, and this podcast is here to help. Provide listeners with the most up-to-date information and
pertinent information they need.
Right, exactly, and that's all we want. We want success. We want people to feel safe and happy to be back in the office and working with their team members. God forbid you have a heart attack.
Oh. That was terrible. All right. Well, that concludes today's episode, and I do look forward to part 2 of this exciting. I think you'll be introducing Anthony Parziale.
We're going to be having our first guest.
I know. I'm very excited.
How exciting.
Anthony Parziale, who is the president of the Advanced Group. He's been with them for so many years and has a lot to offer to this conversation. I know he's been studying it and is I have nothing but the utmost respect for Anthony. I think he's a quiet genius. So I look forward to hearing what he has to say. So listen in to part 2 for the Return to Office segment with moving into the future of the Advanced Group.
Thank you for listening, everybody.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast at theadvancedgrp.com. That's theadvancedgrp.com.